Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the KT Adventures, and today we are back with the Planet Coaster series episode 3. And it has been a while. The last time that I uploaded a Planet Coaster episode was at the end of June, and we're now in August, so it has been a while. There is a few reasons for this. One is that I do have a full-time job. I don't make money off YouTube, so my full-time job does pay my bills, and I do spend most of my time doing that. So it is mainly due to time and not having enough of it. But it's also because we've been locked in for months and we haven't had chance to get to many parks. I've been lacking inspiration. I have been working on the pirate themed area of the park, but overall I'm not happy with how it's looking, so I'm 99% sure that I am going to restart that area. However, today we are back, and instead of the pirate area, we're going to work on an area where I do have plenty of ideas, and that is the spooky themed area. Now, I love horror films and I love spooky rides, so I thought I'd incorporate all these rides I love into one. And in today's video, I'll be building the spooky themed coaster, which is basically a mix of a haunted mansion at the Disney parks and Saw the ride, which is at Thorpe Park. So this coaster, it starts as a dark ride, but eventually you launch out of the building and you end up in a forest, where I've got inspiration from 13 Alton Towers. Then you go underground, so yeah, it's a pretty wild one. So I'm currently building that dark ride section, and I'm putting in the flooring just to give me a basic layout so I can have a rough idea of how each of the rooms are going to look. As I said earlier, I have taken inspiration from Saw the ride at Thorpe Park, so I've included an indoor inversion at the start, which is similar to Saw, and it's also similar to the Smiler at Alton Towers. After the inversion, this is where you launch 70 miles per hour out of the building, and you enter the forest and the underground sections of the ride. So now I'm building that 0 to 70 launch, and I'm going to include lots of lighting in this area and really make that launch intense. After the launch, I've included some airtime hills and also a very brief underground section too. To do underground sections, I always find it best to disable any terrain collisions in the game settings. This removes any of the obstructions and it makes it easier to build. With the coaster, I didn't want to include lots of inversions. There's a few on there, but I mainly wanted to focus on the story and the theming and also make it pretty fast. And talking of the story, if you do have any suggestions or ideas for this ride, let me know down in the comments below, and be completely imaginative and as crazy as you want to be with the ideas. I've said in previous episodes in this Planet Coaster series that I'm always changing things in this game. There may be something that I build that I really like and I'm happy with, but when I come back a day later I'll hate it. And with this coaster, it was no different. Just building that one indoor inversion alone took me a long time, and the rest of this ride has changed so much to get to how you see it in this video. This is because I want the ride to be perfect, and it's also because I come up with new ideas all the time that I think will make the ride better. I said earlier in the video that I love horror and spooky themed rides, so let me know down in the comments your favourite. If you're a regular here at the KD Adventures, you'll know that I love the Tower of Terror, but also I love the Haunted Mansion too. The Mummy as well at Islands of Adventure, if that classes as a spooky ride I guess, and of course you've got those horror themed attractions at Halloween too, like Halloween Horror Nights and Scarefest and Fright Nights. To be honest, I think Halloween's my favourite time of year to visit the parks. So let me know down in the comments your favourites, because I'd love to know. So now we're on to the main outdoor section of the ride, and this is where I've included the underground section, and this is also where the main forest area will be too. I'm going to include lots of effects here with lighting, mist, and I might even include some fire as well. I may also use some animatronics because Planet Coaster has 2 DLC packs, which is the Spooky Pack and the Ghostbusters pack, which I've purchased, and they have some great animatronics in there and some great effects, so I might use some of those on this ride too. Inside the building I'll be making it look pretty similar to the Haunted Mansion, but that lower level section where the inversion is, I'll be taking inspiration from the boiler room section of the queue of Tower of Terror. So I'll be including lots of mist and pipes and stuff in there. So I'm quite excited to add theming to this ride, and I think I can make it look pretty good. At the moment it's just the coaster, but it is the theming that makes the difference between a good and a bad ride in my opinion. Also, I do love a good backstory too, so maybe I could use a backstory on this coaster as well. So although I've not included lots of inversions on this coaster, I have added this Batwing just because I thought it looked good. And here is where I started that underground section. It gets really dark in some of these areas, so it might be good to include some lighting and some effects like smoke or mist. So finally, probably one of the more difficult things that I had to do whilst building this coaster is actually getting the coaster to go back into the station. So as you can see, I did have a bit of trouble doing this. I did have to use a small launch just so I could get it back onto the level of the station. But overall it doesn't look too bad, and it does kind of fit in quite well. So yeah, it looks pretty good, this coaster. I'm quite happy with how it's turned out. The last section of the ride before you go back into the station, I'm also going to make this a dark ride section as well. so you don't just go straight from outside back into the station. You'll go inside this small room. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in there yet, but it will just be a nice way to end the ride before you go back into the station. So now that the coaster has been built, I just needed to raise the terrain over the track. So I went back to the settings and turned on the terrain collision. So now that when I raise the terrain, it raises it over the track, creating that underground section. With the underground section, it can get really dark in some of those deeper areas, so it does add to that spooky theme. You can also add sounds in this game as well, so that might be an idea to make those dark ride areas extra creepy. And finally, I've just started adding in the flooring for that dark ride section, just so I can get an overall look at how it is going to kind of look in the end, and just so I can start adding in the scenery in there in the next video, in the next episode, and it'll start all to come together. So I've put in the walls and the flooring, and I've just set the levels out, so from that top level and that bottom level. On that launch section, as I said earlier, I really want to make this as intense as it can be, so I'm going to be adding lots of lighting in here, maybe flashing lights, lots of mist and smoke and scenery, and it's going to look really good when you're zooming along there at 70 miles an hour and then exiting out into that forest section. So that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be adding in the scenery, the station, and also that dark ride section. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button to let me know. And if you're new to the channel and you're feeling extra cheeky, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single thing, because we make plenty of theme park videos here at the KD Adventures which you don't want to miss. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, but before I go, I'll leave you with a POV of how the coaster is looking so far. Enjoy.